Stop waiting for success to find you. It doesn't magically happen. Build it with clarity, structure, and strategy on purpose. Hey, IOers, thanks so much for joining us on the Industrially Organized podcast. Today, I have a really super exciting guest that's joining us today. This is Sarah Gershman, and she is an executive speech coach and the founder of Green Room Speakers. She's been helping clients for over 20 years, helping people, first-time speakers and executives, communicate with clarity, confidence, and heart. And today we're going to dive into the whole public speaking thing, the fears, the anxieties, and Sarah's going to give us some great tips on how to overcome them. So, Sarah, thanks so much for joining me today. I'm super excited that you reached out.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, Nicole. I'm very excited to have this conversation with you.
Absolutely. And this is such a big topic, I think, for anybody, professionals, and, you and I are CEOs, founders, but, I go through my own public speaking fears as well. So I'm excited to learn some of your tips and tricks of the trade. So I just want to jump off with, tell me, for listeners who might not know you yet, can you just tell us a little bit about your work and what led you to become an executive speech coach and presentation skills trainer?
So, actually, it started a long time ago. I have an amateur background in theater.
Oh,
And so, while I was doing some classroom teaching, I had this whole other career. I had an opportunity to be in a children's theater production of The Sound of Music. And
fun.
I got to understudy a professional actress in the part of Maria, and which
Ooh,
was super fun. And they gave me
yeah.
the dress rehearsal. And turns out I found out that the director of the play ran a communications coaching firm. That was his day job. And it
Ah,
just hit me. I want to do that. And
yes.
so, yeah, so I started my firm from scratch about 20 years ago. And, it's heavily influenced by my work in theater
Mm.
and have just been loving it and growing it ever since.
That is awesome. That's exciting. I always like to hear, what inspired people to go down the path that they went, right? For our careers or, also becoming, a founder. So, okay, so when people hear public speaking, they're often thinking, big stages and keynote speeches but in reality, where does public speaking show up in everyday professional life?
I'm so glad you asked that because the vast majority of people are not speaking on a big stage.
Right.
And what they're doing is they're having meetings, they're giving
Mm,
pitches, they're updating a client on a project, they're briefing their supervisor.
yeah.
And actually, I've seen right over and over again that those are the things that are obstacles to someone's career growth because they make them super nervous. And so
Yeah.
maybe they avoid those things, and then it's much harder for them to advance professionally, either because they're nervous about it or because
Hmm.
they're just not as effective as they could be.
Right, right, right. Yeah, I've been through that in my executive career and even as an entrepreneur, you got to put yourself out there, and it's not always easy to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm sure that you get lots of people that come to you and say, I just can't do it. I don't know how to move forward. I just have this fear. Do you find people that maybe they're paralyzed with it and they don't want to take that leap?
Absolutely. And it can be very paralyzing. And one of the reasons is because it reinforces itself. So when you
Mm,
get up to give a presentation and you freeze up or you get tongue-tied, that then reinforces to yourself, oh, this is really dangerous and scary. And so then it makes the
Yes.
problem worse. And you
Yeah.
start to associate getting up in front of people to talk as a very scary thing
Mm.
that then when we're feel under threat, we go
Yeah.
into this fight or flight mode and we often feel paralyzed.
Yes, totally. I have felt that as well.
Me
Um,
too. Me
I
too.
I teach my clients to do what I call imperfect action,
Huh.
which is, nothing is ever going to be perfect, right? You're not going to have the perfect audience if you're public speaking or, given a presentation, you can't anticipate maybe all of the questions that you'll receive. Um, and I tell people too that confidence is built after you do the thing, right? After you do whatever is holding you back, whatever you feel like you're not confident about, you just have to take that imperfect action and just jump in. And then your mind, as you were saying, your mind starts to change and says, oh, I guess I can do this. And it's not quite so like that scary, hairy thing that, paralyzes you. So,
Yes. And oh, go ahead. Yeah, I want to hear your question.
yeah, I was just going to say, so what would you say is one mindset shift that kind of helps people move from like, I hope I don't mess this up and then move it to I have something very valuable here to say.
Right, right. I think it's all about the mindset shift. And I actually want to get back to something that you said about perfection.
Sure.
So the mindset that makes us nervous is when we feel in the spotlight. When you feel like, oh my gosh, everybody's looking at me. I have to be perfect. I have to get this right. I have to impress them. And if I mess up, it's going to damage my reputation and I'm going to look stupid and all these things, right?
Mm.
So what the key to overcoming this, and this is guides everything I do with my clients, is shifting the mindset, as you said, away from I need to impress and I need to be perfect. And instead, focusing essentially what you're doing is you're shifting your brain from everybody's looking at me and being self-conscious to I am only here to help you solve a problem, to help you feel reassured, to help you understand something.
Yes.
And once you take that mindset, you realize perfection actually really doesn't matter. And in fact, perfect public speaking is boring. What people want is connection. They want to see a human
Sure.
being out there who cares about what they're saying and who cares about them. And that is
Mm-hmm.
much more powerful than
Yeah.
just someone who's perfect.
Yeah, that's so true. When we talk about, or when I talk about with other entrepreneurs about, putting yourself out there on social media and stuff, I constantly hear that just be real. Just, pick
Mm.
up the camera, pick up your phone and just, record something. And, that does almost feel not natural, but I'm keep on being told by social media coaches and public speaking coaches that that's what people want. That's what they relate to. And for me, I'm thinking, okay, well, no, it has to be structured and I have to, have everything perfect
Right.
and, I can't mess up. And, even though that's just the reality. And, sometimes when people are giving a speech and they do mess up and they kind of laugh it off, I feel like it does warm me up to them. It warms me like, oh, ha ha ha, that happened, and warms me up to what they're saying, and it makes me feel comfortable.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
thinking about that and realizing how I respond
Mhm.
to other public speakers could definitely give me some, confidence about what I'm putting out there.
Yes,
I love that.
absolutely. And it's not like what we're talking about here, right? It's not that you wing it. It's not that
Right,
just
right,
talk or it
right.
really matters what you're doing.
Hmm.
And I think when you take that helping approach, then you really care about accomplishing what you need to accomplish. And so you are going to do a good job. You
Right.
are going to get it right. Because if you don't, it's not about you. but you really want to make sure that you help the audience. And
Yep.
so you're going to practice, you're going to think it through, but it's going to be through the mindset of generosity instead of the mindset of, I need to impress.
Oh, I love that. The mindset of generosity. Oh, that moved me.
Oh.
Thank you for that. That was great. And so, what I wanted to, and it kind of goes back to what you were just saying. So, you know, how can professionals build their speaking confidence without waiting to feel that I'm completely ready? Um, what would you
So
suggest that?
yeah, it's a great question. I think it's a lot of it is about finding these smaller opportunities to practice and try it out and try out this mindset.
Mm,
And so whether it's giving a quick update at a meeting or
right.
calling someone up and, giving your elevator pitch or something
Yes.
small to
Yes.
practice shifting the mindset both in
Hmm.
how you prepare for that and also in what you say right before you get up to speak, reminding yourself you're there to help, and then having that mindset while you're speaking.
Hmm.
And it's like any kind of muscle, right? We have been trained, it's a habit to think of speaking as it's a performance. I need to impress. And so
Mm.
the best thing to do is just to find as many opportunities as you can in very safe, low risk situations to practice that mindset so that you just build that muscle over time.
I love that. Yeah, that's a great way. Like I said, I was tying it back to, taking that imperfect action to improve your confidence.
Yes,
And that's a
that's
great suggestion.
yeah.
And I've done that myself too. It's scary to put yourself out there as, an entrepreneur, just like it's scary to put yourself out there in front of a bunch of colleagues. And when I was in corporate HR, I would have to do trainings all the time. And I remember the ones that I really nailed was when I knew my information. I knew that I knew what I was talking about, and that kind of gave me confidence. Like I was ready to answer the questions. I was ready to go into more in-depth of an explanation if needed. And so that personally helped me knowing what I have to communicate or what I want to communicate. Also made me feel more confident once I came up and said, "Hey, here's the presentation," or here's what I have to say. So, um,
Yeah, that makes so much sense.
yeah,
And the good news is you don't have to know everything. You just have to know what you want to tell the audience and what they
right,
need to know. And
right.
so I think sometimes people feel like they have to over prepare. They have to
Mm,
anticipate every question and they have to
mm,
practice 20 times.
mm-hmm,
And and of course practice is important. But
mm-hmm,
if you really know the journey you want to take the audience on and you know your message,
mm-hmm,
then it's going to help you get back on track if, let's say, you forget a little detail. That
mm,
doesn't matter. It's about really knowing the story that you want to tell your audience.
right.
Um, and, I really had to learn this the hard way because I used to be very focused on performance.
Mm,
And I discovered over time that the story that you tell an audience, no matter how technical the presentation, the story that you tell the audience is much more important than getting every single piece of information out there.
yeah, that's how you engaged your audience, right? And yeah, I would imagine with your performance background that was a mindset shift that you had to kind of do for
Yeah, and I
yourself.
remember I remember when I shifted it actually.
Yeah.
I was a senior in high school. I mean, it wasn't a full shift, but it was when I started the shift.
Hmm.
Senior in high school and, way back actually in believe it or not, 1990. And I was in a musical. It was Kiss Me Kate. And I usually was cast in speaking roles, but I had like this solo song I had to sing on stage by myself. And I was super self-conscious about my voice. I didn't think I was a good dancer, whatever. I
Hmm.
I was just kind of wooden up there. And then the last night of the show, the director gave us this pep talk, which there's something called green room where, everyone would gather right before the show. And that's actually why my company's called Green Room Speakers.
Yeah, that's
And the
great.
director gave us this pep talk where he said basically what he said was essentially this. He said, "Your voice is a gift, unleash it." And I
Mm.
don't know, it was like, something just
Oh,
clicked.
that was
And
your moment. Yeah.
yeah, that was my moment. And what happened was, and part of it was that it was kind of funny,
Hmm.
but something just opened. And
Mm.
that night, I remember getting on stage and just having more fun. I
Mm.
remember being able to look at the people in the audience. I just was like, I was myself. And
Right.
yeah, oh, believe me, I wasn't like a professional dancer. Probably, my voice definitely not the best, but it didn't matter because I had fun and it was good
Yeah.
enough. And I gave the audience, I tried to give the audience a gift of some
Uh,
kind of a performance. And it was just really transformative. And so
yeah.
I actually go back to that moment a lot when I am about to speak and I'm feeling that sense of, oh, I have to impress. I'm a public speaking coach, so I have to be the best speaker. And I go
Oh,
back to that moment and like,
yeah.
okay, right, let's just be present.
Right. I love that. Yeah. Just a reminder, that what you have to share is a gift. You hear all the time that people say, yes, maybe people do the same. Maybe there's a lot of people that do the same thing you do, but you only do it the way you do it. It's your gift. You provide your own kind of swing of things. And yeah, seeing that as a gift is great. Trying to sway that mindset to the positive. I love that. I love that.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah,
So
I found it helpful.
yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about kind of like communication skills and your in someone's career. So in your experience with your clients, how do communication skills impact maybe someone's career growth or leadership opportunities? Have you seen anything in that area?
Oh, I mean, every day. It's
Okay.
so critical. And there are
Mm,
so many examples of why. It's
yeah.
everything from being able to clearly explain your work to somebody or
Mm-hmm.
clearly
Mm-hmm.
explain why a product that your company offers is going to help that person. So
Right.
those are the challenges where you're in the weeds and you know everything and you have to crystallize that so you can persuade someone of what they need to know.
Yeah.
And then there are all of the challenges that come up just working with people. It's, the being in a meeting with someone who is not getting what you're saying, and so you get really frustrated and
You
how to
clam up.
manage that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
it's um it's managing up. It's being able to communicate your needs to your supervisor. It's dealing with the people that you supervise and communicating to them in such a way that they feel ownership and they understand the expectations. There are so many situations every single day where the ability to communicate effectively is just going to make or break your career.
Absolutely. I see that all the time. And I also coach people on their communication skills. And so I'm curious from your standpoint, for someone who wants to be seen as more like strategic or credible or, trying to go for that leadership position, what would you tell them to focus on in improving how they communicate? What kind of coaching advice would you give someone like that?
So I think if I had to pick one skill that I think rises above all the others,
Mm-hmm.
it would be the ability to listen. And which is kind of counterintuitive because you would think it would be the ability to persuade. And what I have found is that the most persuasive people out there, the people who have the greatest leadership presence, who inspire, who motivate, who create change are the best listeners. And the reason is because the only way to get someone to make a change is if they feel seen and understood. And
Yes.
so, if you can do that first, if you can really help them feel understood where they are,
Mhm.
it's going to be so much easier to then take them on a journey or a different direction. And so
Absolutely.
that I would say, and it's something, the good news is it's something everybody can work on. You don't have to be an extrovert. You don't have to be particularly charismatic. It's something you can work on right when you get there
I
into your
love that.
job, and it
Yeah.
carries you all the way.
Yeah, you are so right. And that's what I tell my clients as well, that you can't help people if you're not hearing what they're saying.
Yeah.
Right. And so you're not gonna have any influence on them if you just talk over them. Nobody likes to be talked over. Or, when you're communicating, you are having a back and forth relationship. You are in that moment with them. And nobody just wants to be completely overlooked. You have to hear them. I always tell people, sh- get rid of your ego, right? You are not always right. There could be some fabulous suggestion that makes your idea even better, and be open to that. And
Yeah, and be curious.
yes, yes, I use that word too. Be curious about them. If you want them to be curious about you, give it back to them. So I love all of that. That's exactly what I tell people too. And it's actually reassuring to hear you kind of reiterate that same thing, that listening improves your communication. I talk a lot about emotional intelligence,
Yeah.
and listening to others and empathizing to others, and really being in the moment with others when you are communicating or working through a project or whatever it is. You really got to develop your emotional intelligence. Some people are great at it, people are not. And I always tell them too, that's a skill that you can improve on. We'll
Yes,
work on it
yes, yes.
together. Yeah.
Thank
So,
goodness, right? It is
yes,
absolutely something you can work on. And it's you're right. It's easier for some people than others. Some people have sort of are naturally better at that, like anything, right? It's a
right.
skill.
Exactly. Yes,
And but
absolutely.
it's something that everybody can work on. And I want to just say something else about introverts.
Yeah.
A lot of times people say to me, I can never be a great speaker because I'm an introvert. And I really don't believe that. I think that introverts can actually make the best speakers because they are present very often. They're sitting there quietly listening.
They
That is
internalize.
actually a very powerful tool that you can use in your communication.
I agree, because I am that person. I am an introvert, and
Ah,
I have accepted that about myself. But what I tell people is, when you're an introvert, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are shy.
yes,
For
yes.
me, an introvert means it's how I kind of recuperate,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And this is just my opinion, I don't get energy from speaking and talking and engaging with a lot of people all the time. Where I recoup and gain my energy back is when I'm like by myself. I'm thinking about the day, I'm releasing the day, I'm having my me time. That's
Yeah.
when I'm re-energized. Now, I am one of those, I think they call it an omnivert,
Yes.
where, is
Yes.
that what that is?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's both. Right.
Yes, because it used to be I'm an extroverted introvert. But yeah, omnivore, where I love talking to people like this. This type of engagement is great. I do have fun if I go to, a business meeting, or, you know, I love to hear people. Like you said, I like to listen and learn from people, or just have fun. But then I have to go back home. And then I
Yeah,
have to kind of just, relax. But
I
I
do
have
too.
noticed
I do
that
too.
I listen and I think about it, and then I can kind of regurgitate, so to speak, what I've learned and or come back to the conversation and say, hey, I've thought this through and, here's what I think. I've listened to you and now I've processed, what you're saying or, the guidance you've given, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, you need time to process. You
Hmm.
need time to re-energize and be by yourself and take it in. And before you can then go back and have fun in those
Yeah.
moments.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes so much sense.
Yeah. Um, well, so I wanted to, I know that you have this new program, I think it's a new
Yeah.
program called Speakers RX.
Yes.
So I'd love for you to tell us about Speakers RX and who's it designed for and what problem does it help solve?
Okay, thank you. So, for years, people come to me to help them overcome speaking anxiety. So, I've
Right.
been coaching, people on that for many years.
Hmm.
And the more I am in this field, I realize it is pervasive. It is the rare to find the person who doesn't suffer from any speaking anxiety. Now,
Yeah. Yeah,
it's a spectrum, but
absolutely.
and so I thought I could create a course that will help people do this. And it's an on Speakers RX is an online asynchronous course that guides you through every step of preparing for and delivering a presentation. So you're working on something real through the lens of overcoming speaking anxiety and through this lens of shifting from impressing the audience to generosity.
Mm,
And the idea here is that for many people, this is something they don't want to do in a class. They want,
right.
and it's something that you have to do over time. So
Sure.
this is a way to do that in the privacy of your home and to do it over, you can have it for the rest of your life. So you can go back to it and you're building that muscle over time. And, for let's say, like a law firm, you can do professional development without having to go on your billable hours. So
Mm,
that was the vision for designing Speakers RX. And,
okay.
I'm super excited about it.
Yeah, yeah, that is exciting. So, if someone joins Speaker RX, what kind of transformation can they expect in how they speak or maybe present or how they can manage their public speaking anxiety?
So here's what you could expect.
Hmm.
Let's say you start out, you're thinking, oh, I hate public speaking. It makes me so anxious. It makes me so nervous. But I need to get better at this. So I want to work on this.
Yes.
So over the course of the class, you will pick a presentation to work on. And it could be, some presentation you're giving to a client or some professional presentation.
Hmm.
And you'll walk through first the mindset shift that we talked about. And
Yeah.
so you'll learn the mindset shift and practice the mindset shift. Then you'll learn how to prepare the presentation in such a way so that it's helpful to the audience, like to take that mindset and apply it to how you prepare, apply it to how you practice, and the day of what to do when the butterflies hit, when you feel like, oh, I can't do this, how to manage the day of.
That's
And
awesome.
so you go through that process, preparing for a real presentation. And what you can expect, it's not going to happen overnight. I want to be clear. Definitely, like
Right.
it's not like boom, it's like a silver bullet. There's no such thing.
Mhm.
But what you can expect is a new way of thinking about things, a new way of doing things. And even that first time, if you follow the course, you will see a difference. And you will feel less like everyone's looking at me, and you will just be more helpful. And
Mm.
then that will build on itself because you'll keep doing it. You can watch the course again, and then it's not that much time. Pretty soon, you're going to feel differently about public speaking.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I love that you said it's over time because you're right. You don't just magically, snap your fingers
Right.
and, you're Superman or Superwoman and, can public speak. And I love the fact that you have hands-on, taking a presentation and walking it through because it sounds like almost like you're giving them a tool and you're
Yes.
showing them how to use that tool. So whenever something, another presentation comes up or another speaking opportunity, you can kind of go back to, what you learned in the Speakers RX and apply it as well.
Absolutely. And at the end of the course, to help with that, because I love that word tool, I
Hmm.
have an interactive tool, like a worksheet
Oh.
that basically sums up all the different steps that
Hmm.
you can just, instead of having to watch the whole class, which you could, you
Hmm.
just can go back to that worksheet and use it to prepare for any presentation going
Just
forward. So the
plug
idea
and
is it
play.
should be very practical and help you
Hmm.
with the work you're doing right now.
Yeah, I love that. I absolutely love that because we will all have to public speak or give a presentation at some point in our time, in our life, in our
Yeah.
career, whatever it is. And then, I feel like the more your career kind of takes off, the more you're going to have to kind of do that. And so,
Yeah.
like we said before, if you are taking your career to the next level, it's just kind of something you have to get used to. And, just saying, I can't do it, I won't do it, I'm just not da 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 da, you're really holding yourself back over something that can be taught, learned,
Yes.
upskilled. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I work with people all the time who were formerly really comfortable with speaking in public.
Mhm.
They, maybe even did debate when they were in college or something
Right.
like that. And then
Yeah.
they get a promotion.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden, something shifts and they
Yeah.
get really self-conscious and nervous. And they're like, what happened?
Right.
And that can be very unnerving. If
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
thought you were good at something and all of a sudden, right? And so that is exactly the time to work on this because it does
Yes.
not have to be that way. You can go
Yes.
back to feeling comfortable again.
Yes. Yes. So, Sarah, what would you say? What do you want listeners to remember the next time they have to present, pitch, lead a meeting, or just speak up in a difficult conversation? What's something that you would say, just remember this in that time?
What it comes down to is remember you are there to help.
Yeah.
That is your role. You're
Yes.
not the star. It's not all relying on you. Your job is to help the audience and
Mhm.
just remind yourself of that. And, for a lot of the work that you do, you're not helping, you're not saving their life, right? Well, it's like
Right.
most of it is, we have to keep it in perspective, but you are helping them.
I
You are
love
there to help them solve a problem, make a decision, or just understand something that they need to
hmm
understand. And
hmm
once you take that helping mindset, everything's going to get easier.
Love that. I love that. And I'm going to take that personally. I will remember this conversation and say, well, Sarah told me that I have a gift. I'm helping people. And that is truly where I come from, why I started my business. I
Yes,
genuinely just want to help
I
people.
can
So,
feel that. And also, you have a very generous presence. Like, as
oh,
I'm looking at you have a beautiful smile. Like, as I'm listening to you, like,
thank you.
it's so natural. You're really good at helping people.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. That really is my goal. Um, okay, so God, I love this conversation. I could talk to you all day. And because I just love the energy and I love learning new things. But to wrap this up, I want you to tell me, where can our listeners connect with you and learn more about your speakers RX and green room speakers?
Great. So the best place is my website, and
Okay,
it's greenroomspeakers.com. And
love it.
then on there, there's a link to Speakers RX, and there's also a link to the free Speakers RX starter class
Yes.
that you can take to just give you a sense, see if it's the right fit.
Yeah.
And you can reach out to me through that website or at Sarah with an H at greenroomspeakers.com. And I am happy to talk to you about coaching, about coming into your company, your organization, and working with your team. And together we'll figure out what's best for you. So I'm excited to meet all of the listeners out there.
I love that. And yes, I have been on your website. It is very easy to navigate.
Thank you.
And so, yes, I will definitely put all of your info and Speakers RX and Green Room Speakers info in the description as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Nicole.
So, Thank you so much again for coming on here with me and for reaching out to me. This has been a lot of really great information for me and for everybody. I am absolutely sure of it. Um,
Oh, such a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
yes. So that's it for today's episode of the Industrially Organized podcast. And remember that what you have to say in front of an audience is valuable and it's helping them. So if you have a presentation or other type of public speaking event coming up, or maybe it's just a difficult conversation and you're feeling those nerves, like we all do, go out and practice with someone you trust. Get those jitters out, and hopefully, through that practice, you'll change your mindset and show your brain that you can do it. So, when it's showtime, you will have gained that confidence you need. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Nicole signing out. Until next time.